The sun is setting over Albury as a key moment in the Farrer by-election campaign begins. Backstage, the candidates are getting ready for a high-pressure debate.
Welcome everybody to Charles Sturt University, everybody here in the theatre.
12 are in the race, but 2 are receiving the most attention.
We need to be looking after ourselves first here in this country.
Independent Michelle Millthorpe came second in Farrer at the federal election last year. One Nation candidate David Farley is considered her toughest competition.
I understand the engine room of Farrer, and I understand it well.
Labor isn't running in this rural electorate where issues affecting farmers have been front and centre.
The reality is Australia can't afford net zero.
I think it's untenable for us to think that we can get there by 2050.
The Liberals and Nationals have boosted the chances of a One Nation win, directing preferences to David Farley over the Community Independent, a move that could backfire if it helps the minor party increase momentum or if it proves unpopular among traditional coalition supporters.
I want to talk about preferences now, and we'll start with you, Rosa, and as to why the Liberal Party chose to preference One Nation ahead of Michelle Millthorpe, for example.
In terms of preferencing, it really was. It was just for ease of reference in terms of our how to vote card, and that's just the reality.
Farrer is the second largest electorate in New South Wales. It was held by former Liberal leader Susan Lee for 25 years before she quit Parliament in February. Now, the coalition is at risk of losing the seat for the first time in its history. Pauline Hanson's most high-profile recruit has been lending his personal popularity to David Farley's campaign.
So good to see you.
Good to see you, Boo.
Nationally, support for One Nation has climbed since the former Nationals leader Barnaby Joyce joined its ranks.
How much do you think you have to do with that?
Yeah, I did my bit. You can do faux humility. Oh, it's nothing. No, it wasn't. It was a bit about reason by me, because I think he gave them licence, and people said, well, if he can change, I can change. And now so many have changed.
The One Nation candidate has also had changes of heart. He previously sought pre-selection for Labor, prompting critics to question his long-term loyalty.
This specimen is David Farley, a political chameleon who changes colours to suit himself.
Can you guarantee that if you get into Parliament with One Nation, that you will stick with One Nation in Parliament?
Yeah, I'm more than comfortable. One Nation will change the democracy on the 9th.
If David did get in with One Nation and defected to the crossbench, would you be bothered by that?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, of course I'll be bothered by that. But, I look at him and say, this person's not going to do it.
Last year, David Farley publicly praised his now rival, Michelle Millthorpe. The independent candidate has been labelled a teal by political opponents due to donations she's received from Climate 200.
If you look at my policies and positions, you can see that they don't align with those of the teal independents.
Albury has a proud place in Liberal history. This is where the party's governing body was formed in 1944. Raisa Bukuski has the tough task of trying to hold on to Farrer for the Liberals.
It's an unusual race because the 2 considered front-runners are obviously not from the major parties. Why do you think that's happened here?
In terms of the 2 front-runners, I'm not looking at polls. I think they generally are not reflective of reality quite often.
But the reality is the party is desperately trying to rebuild and win back Australian voters who've been abandoning it in droves.
You've come in at a tough time for the coalition.
Yeah.
Does that make your job harder?
No, I enjoy a challenge.
At a Saturday farmers market near Albury, the produce is fresh and locals friendly.
Are you a local celeb?
He sure is.
Ross Files is a flower farmer. He can't vote in the by-election because he lives on the Victorian side of the border, but he'll be watching the result closely.
I think the political climate's changing. I voted Liberal for the past 50 years, and this is the first time I've ever considered voting for another party, and the One Nation is the party that I would vote for.
From Albury to the multicultural farming community of Griffith, many voters told 7:30 they wanted change.
Last time I voted for Liberal and this time I've voted for Independent.
Major groups have had things for too long. Time to put someone through the hen house and clean them out.
Some people are promoting the multiculturalism, so that's why I just vote for that person,
Father Peter is an Anglican priest and community figure who was torn over who to vote for. Inside this historic mansion, he's hosted many political guests from both sides of politics. This week, he's invited Pauline Hanson to tea.
So Pauline Hanson might be sitting around this table in the days ahead?
Well, I'm hoping so. There's always room in the, a bit more in the pot.
The long-time Liberal supporter is questioning his loyalty to the party after it dumped Susan Lee as leader.
Will this be the first election that you voted in where you're not sure if you'll vote Liberal?
Well, I've certainly been less sure now than I've ever been before.
And do you think that the chaos that we saw in the coalition after the last election is the reason that people in this electorate have been turning to One Nation?
Well, they say that One Nation is the party of protest, and I think people have a lot of reasonable things to protest about. If you've got a car that continually breaks down, then you do need to think about either getting a new engine or getting out and walking. And I think a lot of people are getting out and walking.